A robot starts its journey by walking 2 meters north. Then it turns to the left, 90-degree turn, and walks 4 meters. But here's the twist. It repeats these same moves 25 more times. So after all that turning and walking, how far is the robot from where it started? That's the basis of this question from the University of Waterloo in their recent Pascal Math Contest. Students were baffled by this question because they didn't know where to even get started because it's doing something 26 times. But math is all about recognizing patterns. So let's carry this pattern out a few times and see if we can recognize something that's starting to repeat itself, not only in 2 steps, but in multiple groups of steps. So after the first time it goes through the sequences, it ends up at this point right there. And then it does those same things again. It continues to move 2 meters straight in the direction it was moving. And then it turns 90 degrees, turns to the left, and travels 4 meters. There's the second sequence, and that ends us right there. Now it does the same thing again, 2 meters forwards from the direction it's pointing, and then it turns 90 degrees and goes 4 meters in that direction, and that's the third step. Now 2 meters again in the straight direction, turns 90 degrees to the left, and after 4 steps, we're back to where we started. So that means that after 4 steps, after 8 steps, after 12 steps, after 16 steps, after 20 steps, and after 24 steps, we're back to where we started. So if we're going a total of 26 times, well, 24 times brings me back to the starting point. And then we just go through the steps 1 and 2 again, the 25th and 26th steps, and we end up right here. So that where the X is the final location. So now it's a matter of figuring out the distance from the start to that. Well, how do we figure out that distance? Well, that distance is simply going to be this. If we take this and we draw a triangle here, we could draw a right triangle, and we're trying to figure out the hypotenuse of that right triangle. Now let's call that X, and we know the distance along the top is 6, and conveniently I used a grid where every square is 1 meter, and then this is 2. So 6 meters on this side, 2 meters on that side, and we can go ahead and use the Pythagorean theorem to solve that. So x squared is equal to 6 squared plus 2 squared, which gives me 36 plus 4. Now, some people might be tempted to say that the distance is going to be 40, but don't forget that you need to take the square root of the x squared to get the actual value. So the square root of 40 is our final answer. If we want to round that, we could round that to about 6.32 meters. The exact answer, though, is the square root of 40 meters, and there you have it. It's got to be a little bit longer than 6. That just is a mental check. That answer better be longer than 6 because it's the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So that's the type of strategy you want to take for these types of questions, recognizing patterns, plan out a few of the steps, and see if it brings us back around, and then we can use that pattern and solve it like we did here. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of these math contest videos. For more on Pascal's triangle, check out the video on the left. For more on sequences and series, which are all based on patterns, check out the playlist on the right. Thanks so much for watching.